What is up, everybody? I'm Bo from Brutal Commentary, and today I'll be breaking down our next matchup for UFC Fight Night Sacramento. In this matchup, we have Mauricio Barbosa taking on Ryan Kuse. Now, this is somewhat of a short notice-ish matchup. Now, the rumor mill was that Mauricio Barbosa was going to be on this card, and he was going to take on Danny Silva, which would have been fireworks. I mean, it would just be another great fight. An already great card that feels like a numbered event more than a fight night. Unfortunately, Danny Silva had to withdraw because he had suffered a possibly career-ending injury, or actually not even injury. He's suffering something that could possibly end his career. So, first of all the best wishes to him. I hope he recovers with full health, of course, and can continue his career because Danny Silva is a good fighter for sure. So, stepping in on about a week's notice, you could say, because, Barbosa was, technically supposed to be on this card, but Ryan Kuse is stepping in on short notice. So it's short notice in the sense for Kuse, for Barbosa, not so much. Now, for Ryan Kuse, he's a pretty fun fighter coming from the regional scene. He's 9-2 as a pro. He's picked up some solid wins in the LFA and in game-bred bare-knuckle MMA. 32 years of age, in his physical prime right now, and definitely is going to try and take the most of this opportunity. Standing in his way is one of the most dangerous prospects in the featherweight division right now. Mauricio Barbosa. There's no other way to say it other than the dude is fucking devastating. 18 wins, 15 knockouts. Two submissions, and one decision. The dude's a problem. And the thing I love about this matchup is that Kuse likes to bring it to his opponents. Barbosa definitely brings it to his opponents. Neither guy's really looking for a boring fight here. And this is going to be this is going to be a lot of fun while it lasts. So, with all this said, let's get down to the breakdown. Now, starting with Mauricio Barbosa, I think it's safe to say we know exactly what this guy brings to the table after making his debut against Dennis Buzukja this April at UFC Winnipeg. It's power. God-given power is what Mauricio Barbosa brings. As I mentioned in the intro, 18 wins, 15 knockouts. All of them in the first round. In fact, his submissions, too, are in the first round. The dude is just a devastating finisher. Devastating. And you kind of saw exactly that against Dennis Buzukja, right? He caught Buzukja with one clean shot, that left hook of his, and out like a light. That's the kind of power we're talking about. But what I like about Barbosa's style is that it's not just power, right? He's not just, swinging wild, hoping it lands and all that. There's intelligence behind the way he creates those openings. In fact, just looking at the Buzukja fight itself, Barbosa, he was reading his movements, he rolled with the incoming offense, found the time, the moment, and then fired the left hook at exactly that moment. That's important because when you have the power he has, you don't need to throw 100 punches. You just need one. You just need to make the right read and land the one shot needed. And Barbosa is pretty good at creating those moments. He cuts the cage well, pressures his opponents, does a good job of limiting their escape routes before unleashing those big shots. He's patient enough to wait for opportunities, but aggressive enough to make all his opponents feel the pressure. And when he pulls that trigger, things end very quickly. But he's not one-dimensional, right? As I mentioned, he does have 2 submissions on his record, and overall, he's got solid offense and defensive wrestling. He's shown an ability to grapple, and like I said, 2 submissions, both of them in the first round. It at least shows Barbosa's not helpless on the mat. But realistically, we're just really talking about Barbosa's power here because that's his calling card. The biggest question, though, comes, what happens if a fight gets out of the first round? Because when you look at Barbosa's record, I mean, every single one of your fights, except for one, is out of the first round. In fact, only one time he went to a decision, and we're talking about this being in 2021. It's kind of hard to know exactly what he's going to look like in the second round because he hasn't really seen it in, 5 years. So we don't know if he gets tired, does his power carry late? What happens when, he takes on someone who can survive some of his best shots and keep moving forward? We don't have those answers yet. Of course, we're eventually going to find out, and someone is going to test him on that. But hey, getting out of the first round with Mauricio Barbosa, best of fucking luck to you. Now, looking at Ryan Kuse, for me, Kuse doesn't bring the same kind of devastating weapons in this fight that Barbosa does. But he's a good fighter, right? He's aggressive and very good at making his opponents work, and that's what brings some intrigue to this matchup. Kuse primarily likes to work with his boxing. He likes to throw straight punches, combinations, and attack the body. Mixes in some leg kicks here and there, and he'll use his striking to create opportunities for his wrestling. That's probably the part of his game that interests me the most. For Ryan Kuse, he's actually got some pretty good top position grappling. Once he gets that takedown in, he's aggressive. He's not just looking to sit in someone's guard and just hold him there. He's looking to work. He'll attack with ground and pound. He'll move through positions, and he'll look for submissions when they're available. He does have a submission win on his record, although that came in game-bred bare knuckle MMA, which doesn't count for his official record for whatever reason. But the submission attempts are there. More importantly, Kuse understands how to use his striking to get into those grappling exchanges. That's what makes his style work. He can pressure with the boxing, get his opponents reacting to the hands, and then change his levels and try to get them down. Once he's on top, he becomes a much more dangerous fighter because he can start chaining together his ground and pound, positional advantages, and submission attempts. The one problem for Kuse, especially in this fight, but in general, is that he can be a little too open. There are times where that aggression leaves him vulnerable to getting hit. And we've seen it in fights like against Leonardo Morales or Cameron Smotherman in Fury FC. And while normally that's something you can get away with, like if you have a good chin and, regional MMA, the truth about regional MMA, you can be super aggressive and be hittable, but you can overwhelm some of the weaker opposition, right? Like he can, for example, being guys who are like 9-6 or 9-4. Shoot, his last fight was against a guy who was 7-6. You can overwhelm these guys. But at the UFC level, against someone like Mauricio Barbosa, you cannot be open like that. And if Kuse can't consistently get the takedowns and he's spending a lot of time on the feet, then some real problems are going to happen. All right, now breaking it down stylistically, I kind of feel like Ryan Kuse is up against the wall here. Now, he does have a path to victory. I could see it, right? He needs to be aggressive, but controlled. He needs to use his boxing to close distance, get into the clinch, and start working his takedowns. If he can consistently get Barbosa down, make Barbosa work, and force him to fight off his back, that is exhausting. And we could learn very quickly if Mauricio Barbosa's cardio is actually a weakness. But here's the problem. Kuse has to get there first. And he has to also try and get out of the first round. And I just don't know if he can, right? That aggression that's normally his biggest strength, I think is going to be his biggest weakness in this matchup. The more Kuse moves forward and isn't controlled, no good disciplined guard, and not very good at timing his entries, I see a lot of opportunities for Mauricio Barbosa to land his power shots. And while, Kuse has a good chin, right? He's never been knocked out. He will get knocked out if he takes enough shots from Barbosa. I definitely see that happen. So ultimately, while I do see a path for Kuse, the problem is actually getting there, because I just think he leaves one too many openings, and I can see Barbosa landing that left hook, landing that right straight, landing something, and eventually Kuse is going to fall. So for my official prediction, I'm going to go with Mauricio Barbosa, and I'm going to pick him via knockout. While I think Ryan Kuse is going to put up a game effort, I don't think he's going to come in there and get steamrolled per se. He is a professional. He's got some experience. He's aggressive, and his wrestling does give him a path to at least make it competitive. I just think Barbosa's too dangerous. Kuse leaves himself a little too open for my liking, especially in this matchup. And I see Barbosa timing it and eventually catching him with a clean shot. So once again, I'm picking Mauricio Barbosa, and I am going to pick him via knockout. Though I will say this, I could see a world where Kuse at least gets out of the first round. Unlikely, but if he is able to get out of the first round, I wouldn't necessarily be shocked, because he is an aggressive, durable guy, and he does have the wrestling in his back pocket to try and get out of bad positions. So just something I want to put it out there. Now, with all that being said, that's been my breakdown of this matchup. If you enjoyed this video, like, subscribe, and leave a comment down below on who you think is going to win. Until then, I've been Bo from Brutal Commentary. I thank you all for listening. And remember, stay calm, stay respectful, and enjoy the violence. I'll see y'all next time.